word already has another meaning, right?
AFA Streaming offers free and subscription video content. Titles like By Design, The God Who Speaks, and Asbury Revival, Desperate for More. You'll also find video versions of AFR programs. Visit afa.net and click on Streaming. Welcome to Today's Issues, offering a Christian response to the issues of the day. Here's your host, Tim Wildman, President of the American Family Association.
Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Today's Issues on the American Family Radio Network for this Monday, April the 8th. Thank you for listening to AFR. Joining me in studio is Wesley Wildman. Good morning, Wesley.
Good morning.
And good morning, Fred Jackson.
Good morning, Tim. Good to be here.
Well, big day across North America, I guess. I don't know. That's what I know about, but parts of the world, I guess, going to experience what today, Fred?
It is a solar eclipse. We have not seen one since 2017, and if you miss this one, it's going to be a long time before there's another one, they say. But 31 million Americans live in the path of this solar eclipse, due to start about 3 hours from now, about just after 1 o'clock Central Time. And it's going to be exciting. People are excited about it. There are thousands showing up in places like Indianapolis, Little Rock, Arkansas. One of the more interesting aspects, a lot of people are interested to see how animals are going to react.
Yes.
There are reporters at zoos in Little Rock and Indianapolis because we know what's going on. The animals get really confused by all of this. There was somebody just on one of the Fox programs a few moments ago that, for example, like flamingos at a zoo, they all started gathering to go into bed for the night when they see things getting really dark. And places like Little Rock and Indianapolis, Dallas, they're going to see the maximum eclipse. Now, if you live a little further away, let's say you live in upstate New York, you're going to get about 90% if you're off that path. So it heads up through Indianapolis and across through Vermont, New Hampshire, then goes on out into Nova Scotia, Newfoundland in Canada. So exciting day. Now, the only problem is for a lot of folks, there's going to be cloud. And so that kind of diminishes the impact of it. You don't quite
Well, I know, Wesley, you've done a lot of in-depth study on
I'm doing it right now.
on this.
Sure.
Work with me here, Wesley.
We gotta go.
We gotta make a good impression on listeners.
That's right.
So I know you've done a lot of in-depth study
That's right.
on this and just the solar system in general.
Right.
And what have you learned? What can we expect?
Well, let me channel back to middle school. Channeling. Hang on. So I was looking at it this morning. In the last couple of days, Chelsea, my wife, was making sure
Just told you this was going to happen?
Yes. Actually, she didn't even tell me directly. I heard it indirectly because she was trying to get the glasses that was necessary for our kids to be able to do it at school.
Gotcha.
And I'm going, wait a minute. That's 2 days from now. Why am I just not hearing about this? I don't know. Maybe I was in my bubble over the weekend, but this morning, as we talked about it in our show prep, I was trying to figure out what was the major difference between a lunar eclipse and a solar eclipse as far as what the presentation or the difference between them visibly, and the lunar eclipse apparently could last up to a few hours, whereas a solar eclipse is a few minutes.
Yeah,
so,
that's pretty good right there.
All right, there you go.
That's pretty impressive.
There you go.
That info you brought there.
And the caution is, in case people haven't heard this, do not try to look at this thing. Now they say they have these special glasses. Your sunglasses are no good, folks. Don't put sunglasses on.
You have to have special glasses.
Yes. A lot of people, what they do, and we did this with the last solar eclipse, you get a piece of cardboard, you kind of put a hole in that piece of cardboard, turn away from the sun, and you can watch it the shadow of this, like aim at a wall, and you can actually watch the moon move across the sun. So
You
without
are a
really
redneck, Fred. You've
Cardboard.
adopted well. If you're using some kind of contraption that you just mentioned, actually, that's
safe.
That's safe.
100%.
But otherwise, you've got to have these special. I don't have them today, and I don't plan on looking up because I like to see going forward in life if I can. So, but it is dangerous to look up
Very.
at this. So this will occur. Is Jeff on? Okay.
And so also, and this is, I needed to be reminded of this too. So I know this may sound elementary for some. However, there's an audience this size. Just a reminder: the solar eclipse is when the moon is in perfect alignment with the sun.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Yeah. That's a lunar or solar?
The solar eclipse is what we're going to experience today. Is when the moon is in direct alignment with the sun, but because of the distance between the sun and the moon, it appears as if the moon is covering up the sun, even though the sun is 400. Hey, hold on.
Yeah.
400 times larger than the moon. I learned that this morning too.
Oh, it's more than that.
Is the sun? I thought the sun was 400 times larger than the moon. You're saying it's even more than that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the sun is 1,000,000 times larger than the Earth. And the Earth is 5 times larger than the sun. Okay.
You didn't
yeah.
get
No.
And the ankle bone's connected to the knee bone or something like that. I think that's how that song goes. All right. Well, it is a big deal today. What we're going to experience across the U.S. and Canada. Will also Mexico. I suppose, and I don't know who else. I don't know how. Yes, you're going to say.
Yeah. I get the second source says what I say, which is the sun's diameter, which is approximately 400 times larger than the moon.
Yeah. Listen, we'll talk about this off the air. Okay. We'll do lunch.
Sorry, I just want, whether I'm wrong or right, I want the people to know what's right.
Yeah,
here.
where you got your info.
Yeah, sure.
All right. So one of the places that this is going to be about 100%.
That's right.
Is Texarkana, Arkansas / Texas, and our good friend Pastor Jeff Shreve. I asked him to come on this morning to talk about what he's going to be doing today. Pastor Jeff, you there?
Yes, sir, Tim.
So am I right? It's coming right over the top of you guys.
Yeah, we've had a lot of hype about our area is going to be inundated with thousands and thousands of people, and somebody. Friend of mine said, "I think this might be Y2K."
Is there a lot of campers and RVs around that aren't usually there yet? Have you seen?
No,
that?
I haven't seen any.
Okay, was giving up at church yesterday? No.
No.
Okay.
All right. I don't know yet, Tim. They're still counting.
All right. So. But it is going to come right up. So it's a near 100% block, right? Where you live. Okay.
Yes. And there's some little towns. A friend of mine pastors in DeQueen, Arkansas, and some of those little towns, Mena, Arkansas, they're getting the full force of it. But even my friend that pastors in DeQueen, he said we haven't seen anything of what they told us with all these thousands of people. So he was the one that told me he thought it was Y2K all over again.
Yeah. Well, have you got your glasses, your special
I
glasses?
do. I'm ready, Tim. Debbie and I are ready.
Okay. Where did you get them? Dollar General or?
I think that's where she got them.
Well, I need to get me some. How long I got? 2 hours?
Yeah,
Maybe
you
3
got
hours?
plenty of time.
So what is Jeff? Do you know what's going to happen exactly in terms of? I mean, is it going to be like nighttime or semi-nighttime or what?
Yeah, I tell people, listen, if you want to prepare, just go out. I told them yesterday, just go out at about 11 o'clock. That's what it'll be like.
Really?
You can watch it for hours.
Yeah, for how long is that going to last? That sort of.
Well, I think it's 4 minutes, something like that.
But I mean, 4 minutes of darkness, so to speak, or
yeah.
I thought it was going to last longer than that.
No, I think it's just about 4 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So.
And that's where is that in general, or is that where you are? Because obviously it changes.
Yeah, I think where we are, they said 4 minutes.
Okay.
So the closer you are to to the X
Yeah.
marks the spot. And it's
Fred?
Yeah, it's we also have a story from Texas grandfather. He's 105. This is going to be his 13th total solar eclipse.
Wow.
13th.
Wow.
So he's pretty
Yeah.
excited about this.
yeah.
Hey, do you know if he got to experience any of the other ones, or did he just obviously alive during the
Well, he's been an eclipse chaser since 1963.
eclipse chase?
And I saw an interview this morning. Some folks from Meridian, Mississippi, drove to Little Rock because a lot of people want to experience
The full.
the whole enchilada.
Is
Right.
it what's the cloud cover like today in Texarkana?
Yeah, it's cloudy today, which is not good for those guys.
Okay.
You know, if you're an eclipse chaser, I don't think you have to run very fast, do you?
Right. That's a good point.
So what do you do with your glasses when all this is over? You just put them on the
I sell
put them
to
in a
American
box for
Fan-
your great grandchildren to pull out one day and go, hey, whoa.
Wait for 2040.
Yeah, I'm gonna sell mine to Tim Wellman.
After you're done with
You
them.
find a gullible person to sell it says, well, hey, yeah, it's coming around in another year. You'll need these.
Yeah. I'd like to ask Jeff, because there's been some people trying to put a spiritual spin on this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
They tried to compare it to
Jeff
the
can do it.
hours of darkness at the crucifixion.
Listen to what he's
Oh,
about to
God.
tell you.
yeah.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, so I had prophecy expert Jeff Kinley on the program this morning, and we were talking about that. And I played a clip from some pastor on Daystar. Some preacher was saying, "Hey, it's 4:8. Let's look at Exodus 4:8. This is a sign." And it's just ridiculous. Somebody else did a kind of a parody and said, we had a 4.8 level earthquake in New York, and so these are all signs, and the eclipse is passing through all these towns named Nineveh, and I mean it just gets ridiculous after a while.
Yes, it does.
There's only one well, there's two Texarkanas. I take that back.
I have not heard those yet. Of course,
Yeah.
as I mentioned earlier, shamefully, I've been in a bubble the last couple of days. But I know those are out there, and to your point, that's quite comical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, brother Jeff. Maybe we have you assuming you don't go blind. We'll have you on tomorrow, maybe, or sometimes tell us what it was like there.
Yeah, now we're geared up along with some other churches. If we did have people in our parking lot, we're going to serve them hot dogs and have water and hopefully share the gospel with them. And so, but it doesn't look like
Hot dogs and water.
Yeah, hot dog.
Well, it's getting your missions outreach getting kind of thin there, isn't it?
Well, there
Sign
might
me
be
up for hot dogs and water.
there might be a bag of chips in there.
Oh wow! What a blessing.
Hey, listen.
Well, we didn't know how many we were going to have, Tim.
Well, and also we're listening. We're in Biden economy right now.
I know.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah.
that's true.
I mean, we're talking about.
That's not tap water, though, Tim. That's bottled water.
Oh, it's bottled water.
Oh.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
Name brand too.
Yeah.
Not your knockoffs.
He's
huh?
probably
No.
not going to tell you, but there's probably some dessert there around there. But
Oh.
whatever's left over
Yes.
is going home with Pastor. So.
Okay.
That's for sure.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Jeff.
guys.
Take care.
See ya.
Okay. Jeff Shreve. Pastor Jeff Shreve of the First Baptist Church, Texarkana, Texas, joining us there from and Texarkana is like right up ground zero in terms of the line that's coming over the U.S. If everybody's seen that.
There's a couple of serious sides to this. Make sure that kids are supervised. I know some schools are keeping their kids inside. Kids are curious.
That's what I wondered about. All of my grandchildren, Wesley's children, are doing this today, and I just wondered, one of the rules of humanity is if you tell kids not to do something 17 times, guess what they're going to try to do?
Yes.
They're going to try to, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So supervision. Tell them, stress, you must keep your glasses on if you're going to look up at this thing. Anyway,
You almost-
I wonder what the science is behind the damaging of your retina or whatever. Because
Depends on how long you looked at it. I would imagine. and how long
You would imagine. You're getting
Why-
health advice on, quote, I would imagine. And then, quote, on something as serious.
what's the attorney?
I don't think you're supposed to look at it at all.
No. But I agree with you. You're not supposed to look at it. I thought you asked the question, how much damage would it do?
Yeah, I mean, it's not. We're having fun here, but they're saying this could damage your eyes if you look at it. So I'm just wondering what. But we don't know the answer to that. I wondered what the science was behind this causing damage to your eyes. Just looking up in the sky at the maybe it's the intensity of the sun rays.
The rays around the moon.
Around the moon.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's this. What makes this one special too? The moon is in a lower orbit right now, and that's why it's covering more of the sun. So everything has kind of come together for a pretty spectacular time.
Okay, so again, we're in Central Time. What time is this supposed to happen?
Just after 1 o'clock, and from 1 to the 1:45, somewhere in there.
Yep.
Okay, so
That's it'll start to get dark
yeah,
around that time, and then you'll get the total for about 4 or 5 minutes, and then it'll ease away.
And it's supposed to finish up around in Maine at the end of Maine around 3:30.
as far as the U.S. goes, right?
That's correct. As far as the U.S. goes,
Now,
3:30. Another thing I saw this morning is this happens fairly frequently. However, it's most of the time it's in the ocean or in big waters where nobody experiences.
oh, okay.
Unpopulated.
That's right. Where it's
Does it go around the globe, Fred?
I can't answer that. I'm not
Okay.
sure. Just right now, because it's in a track where 31 million people live, this one's getting a lot of attention.
Yes, that's
Yeah, we've got a first cousin lives in Cape Girardeau,
Mm-hmm.
and that's like also
Mm-hmm.
right over the top. Cape Girardeau and St. Louis, Indianapolis, right up the Ohio River. Looks like then into your neck of the woods,
Nova Scotia and Newfoundland. Yeah, before it heads out over the ocean.
Yeah. All right, you're listening to today's issues on the American Family Radio Network. Tim, Wesley, and Fred. Next story, Fred.
Well, I know I did not watch the game, but I bet you guys did. The championship game, women's basketball.
Oh, I did watch most
Yeah,
of that. Yeah.
yeah. Little
Yeah.
disappointed if you're an Iowa fan.
Yeah, it was the University of Iowa versus South Carolina, University of South Carolina women's, and South Carolina women won the national championship, beat Iowa by 12, I think.
Mhm.
And then it was an undefeated season for
South Carolina?
South Carolina, which
Wow.
was almost unheard of. And I don't remember the last time we've had an undefeated
champion.
NCAA basketball team on girls or boys. I know Indiana Hoosiers did it in the 70s. I don't know if it's even been done since then.
You'll occasionally see a team that has 1 or 2 losses, maybe 3, go into the champion or go into the NCAA tournament. And I guess maybe even be undefeated, but to be undefeated and then to finish the season completely
Like
undefeated.
38-0. They
Perfect.
Yeah, so congratulations to the men's tournament ends tonight with Purdue and UConn. That's going to be a war, battle of the Titans.
Yeah.
But the South Carolina coach Don Staley.
Don Staley made news before the game.
Yeah.
She had a news conference. And I'm not sure if somebody asked her. I think a reporter asked her where she stood on the idea of men who say they are women playing in women's sports. And she doesn't have a problem with it. So I want to play you the clip where she gave that response, cut number 10.
If you're a woman, you should play. If you consider yourself a woman and you want to play sports or vice versa, you should be able to play. That's my opinion. You want me to go deeper?
Do you think transgender women should be able to participate
That's your question
in
you
college
want me to
basketball?
ask. I mean, you want to ask, so I'll give you that. Yes. Yes. So now the barnstorm of people are going to flood my timeline and be a distraction to me on one of the biggest days of our game. And I'm okay with that. I really am.
Well, she was now she didn't bring the topic up. She was
No.
asked about it, right?
Yes, yes.
And she's asked, basically, she's asked, "Are you good with boys who say they're girls playing girl sports?" And she says, "I am."
Yep.
Did I misinterpret that in any way, Wesley?
No, you didn't misinterpret it. Yeah, that she can say that until she is faced with a 37-1 season where she loses, well, any game for that matter, but I mean, the championship game, because she's losing because she's playing against a grown man who says he's a girl, and he's on the other side of this where she loses.
Right. And then she'll say it's unfair.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not fair.
And Riley Gaines was asked about this. I think most of our audience know who's Riley Gaines.
Yeah.
She's lived what it's like to have to compete against a guy
Right.
as a swimmer.
Right.
And she was asked about this morning. Here's her response, cut number 11.
And look, I love and respect Dawn Staley. 2 championships in 3 years. In 3 years at South Carolina, she's won 2 championships. I think her record is 109-3. That's unprecedented. So clearly she's great at what she does, and she's developed many incredible athletes whom I admire. But she's either proven yourself, to your point, to be entirely incompetent or a sellout. And personally, I don't think she believes what she said. If you watch the video, her silence, the hesitation, and that drink of water, I think it spoke volumes. I think she knew she had to be politically correct, and I know about as good as anyone that pressure exists, and it's real. But the bottom line is she knows perfectly well that men's basketball, it's a totally different sport than women's basketball.
And I think Gaines went on to talk about if the coach of South Carolina faced the reality of her team having to play against a team where men were
Right.
on that team,
Right.
and her players started to get injured,
Right.
how would she feel
And she
about
lost by
that?
50.
Yes.
She would change her tune.
Yes.
She did. I think Riley Gaines is on to what Dawn Staley, again, excellent college basketball coach. I mean, she's 3 championships now. She's an elite coach and recruiter, but it's not in her heart. She's just saying what she knows the politically correct answer is.
Or maybe even something she wished was true, but it's not. Like she may wish that would work out because it would play in her political favor, but it's just not reality.
No, and so it's dumb.
Yeah.
What she is a very smart lady saying a very dumb thing, and as Riley Gaines says, I don't even think she believes it. If you were able to have a follow-up question with her, and you would say, "So you're good with somebody like LeBron James claiming to be a girl playing in your sport? You're good with that?" And she would say, she would hem haw.
Oh
right
yeah.
there. So now she's a wokester, okay? On other issues, she's very quote progressive. She's very woke. A great coach, but that's a dumb thing to say. And I guarantee you, if you surveyed her girls who play on her team, and you asked them, "Do you want to play against guys and consider that fair?" They would say no.
Right.
They would say no.
But I think this is a warning. If you are a coach of a girls' team and you've got reporters in front of you, you're probably going to get hit with these questions now.
Yeah.
Right.
Because these reporters are trying to
This is not a hard answer.
No.
This is not a hard answer. And I know that you will be criticized by the lefties and the wokesters, but this is not, you just need to say, listen, of course I don't believe in boys playing girls sports.
Right.
There's a reason we separate them. There's a reason we're having a girls championship today and a boys championship tomorrow, which
Right.
is tonight. And next question. This is,
Yeah.
this is not hard. This is such silliness going on in our culture and our society with this whole issue right now. It's
So
just,
feelings represent reality, Dad.
is that what they tell you?
Yeah.
Well,
Feelings.
feelings. We'll be back in a moment. Stay with us. You're listening to Today's Issues on American Family Radio.
It's my turn.
Here is your host for My Turn, Don Wildman.
Recently, I ran across a story about a family that was eating dinner when the youngest member, a 4-year-old, stood up in his chair and blurted out, "Pass the butter!" Well, that mother decided that she would have none of that. She turned to the child, spoke sharply, "You cannot have any dinner. We don't act like that around this house. You will ask for the butter politely, or you will not have any butter at all. Anyone who acts like that doesn't deserve any dinner. Go to your room immediately." The little boy started to say something, but the mother broke in. "No buts about it. Go to your room at once." Well, most of us would agree that the child needed some discipline. No child should be allowed to stand up at the dinner table and shout like that. Children must learn to ask politely and take their turns. After supper, the father gathered the family together and told them he had a surprise for them. "I had the tape recorder on during the meal," he said, "and I want to play it back and let's have some fun. Let's just hear what we sound like while we're eating." Well, the family all gathered around and listened to the recording. Supper began on a quiet note. But before long, the group had gotten rather noisy. There was a lot of talking, loud talking, and laughing. Then, as the mother listened rather closely, she thought she heard something. "Go back and play that part again," she told her husband. Well, he rewound the tape and played the part she wanted to hear again. And sure enough, it was there. A very soft little voice could barely be heard beneath the noise and laughter. It spoke. "Would someone please pass the butter?" The recorder continued on, and for a while, all anyone could hear was the noise and the laughter. Then, just a little louder than before, the voice came again. "Would someone please pass the butter?" But the noise and laughter continued. The little voice got no reply. Then it happened. The voice boomed out, "Pass the butter!" And then the voice telling him to go to his room without any supper. The mother sent for the little boy, apologized to him, and gave him his supper. I'm afraid there are several people like that today, people who have tried to be heard in a nice way, only to have doors closed in their faces and ears that would not hear. If we would have listened to the pleading of the black man years ago, perhaps our problems in race relations wouldn't be as great today. And if we had listened to the pleas of the common man, perhaps the unions would be controlled by a different breed of people today. But we were too busy with our own chatter. One of the greatest traits one can learn is to listen. You see, when we listen, it shows that we care. And after all, that's what most people want. Someone to care.
This has been My Turn with Don Wildman, a production of the American Family Association.
For we know that if the earthly tent we live in is destroyed, we have a building from God, an eternal house in heaven, not built by human hands. 2 Corinthians 5:1.
American Family Radio. This is today's issues. Email your comments to comments@afr.net. Past broadcasts of today's issues are available for listening and viewing in the archive at afr.net. Now, back to more of today's issues.
Welcome back, everybody, to today's issues on American Family Radio, live radio show right here. Tim, Wesley, and Fred, and we were talking about did you say it's solar eclipse, Fred?
Solar eclipse, that's
As
correct.
opposed to a lunar eclipse.
Correct.
If you want to know my...
And Wesley went into depth on the difference.
I was going to remind them if they needed to go back and get a full review of this, they can go back on afr.net.
Okay, and listen to you wax eloquent on all this earlier in the hour. Well, as you know, ladies and gentlemen, you need we've told you need special glasses today to look at this. Assuming you live in that area that is affected, and we are here where we live in Tupelo. So I was handed some special glasses here, which somebody got in the bin at Dollar General. It appears that they're Medical King. Now I'm told these work. Maybe there. So I'm gonna try it. I guess you learn if it don't work, huh?
Yes.
Learn pretty quick.
Ouch.
Uh-huh.
Ouch.
Huh? You think I ought to go with this? Fred Chuck Bunn, our security guy, handed them to me. Okay,
Does he like you?
listen.
That's another good
These are
question.
these are little flimsy paper glasses with.
It's the lens, though.
I know, but it says, and they got user instructions here, which the fine print's too small to read, and then it's got a big warning thing.
Yeah, and then what you're not going to find on there, because it's in an asterisk somewhere, is the date.
Yeah.
Out of date.
It does say directly. Oh, out of date. Expiration date.
Expiration date.
And we're not responsible if it doesn't work.
That's right. Yeah.
I don't know.
Speaking about expiration dates, I want just give me
Yeah,
30
go ahead.
seconds here. So we we have my wife and I. We have 3 children. They've all been in car seats. One of them is still in a car seat. The other 2 have graduated.
Not incarcerated. In
No,
car
not
seats.
incarcerated. Car
Okay.
seat. Well, on each child that we've had, Chelsea says something about buying a new car seat, and I was like, well, there's the reason we kept ours. Well, there's an expiration date on. What? There's not an expiration. And then she found it and showed it to me. So somebody convinced her that, or somebody told her about it, about there being an expiration date on a car seat.
On a car seat.
And I said, no way. And then she showed it to me, and it's still, while it's there, and I think it's ridiculous, I am not buying another car seat. Another
I hear you,
$250.
No,
That's what they
the
are.
car seat companies put that on
Yes,
there.
they do.
Yes.
That's like change your oil every 3,000 miles.
When you
Mhm.
go,
It's not necessary.
no, it's, yeah.
Change it.
Okay, I got it
Anyway.
out. I'm better now.
Anyway, I'm just reading the directions on here. If you need directions on how to put on these things, I feel sorry for you. But anyway, we'll see. We'll see. You like that pun?
Yeah, there
Yeah.
you go.
We'll see.
Anyway, we'll see how these work. If I'm not here tomorrow, you'll know they didn't work right. Listen, you're listening to American Family Radio. I'm Tim, Wesley, and Fred, and we hope you're having a great day. It's Monday, April the 8th. We have 2 friends with us who have traveled a long way to visit with us. They are from Togo, West Africa, and they are pastors and Christian missionaries there in their native country. And joining me in studio is Kokou Loko.
Yes, sir.
Welcome, brother.
Thank you, Tim.
And you're not
Eh.
making that up.
No, that's his name.
Yeah.
Kokou Loko.
Yes, sir.
Sounds like a restaurant, but it's actually his name. And listen, he's been with me enough to know
Right. Yeah.
he doesn't get
Don't,
offended.
so don't email about
He
that.
doesn't. He doesn't get offended.
No,
Okay.
not at all.
And his lovely and talented wife, Yvette.
Yes, sir.
Yvette, did I pronounce
Yeah,
that
you
correct?
pronounce it right. That's
Yeah.
good.
And Loko.
Local.
Yeah,
Yes.
because you guys are married, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
in your home country, you take the name of the
Okay.
of the male
Yes, sir.
in marriage. Now, Yvette, well, I'll start with you. You and your husband do missionary work, but missionary work it's not foreign missions. It's missionary work in your home country, right?
Yes.
Tell us where your country is in Africa and what the makeup of the people are.
Okay, thank you, Brother Tim, and thank you, everybody that is tuned on the radio AFR. And I'm from Togo, West Africa, and Togo is just a small country, like a little rectangle between Ghana on the west and on the east, Benin. And on the north, we have Burkina Faso. And on the south, we just neighbor of the ocean. And
It's a very small country geographically, right?
Yeah.
How many people live there?
Right now, we are 7 million people.
7 million people.
Yes.
Togo. I'm showing. I've got a map here on my phone. I'm showing Kokou.
Yes, sir.
And
That is
the
Togo.
map's right.
Yeah.
So right. That you're not far from Nigeria.
Now, one country between Togo and Nigeria, which is Benin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How was your? We're going to get to your ministry there in just a moment, but
Yeah.
Kokou,
Yes, sir.
the history of Togo. Was your country? How was the boundaries of your country set?
Well, we call them these imaginary boundaries because before the European came in, we were all one people. So after the colonial period, they divided the country. After World War II,
Yes.
yeah, they start dividing the country. Formerly, it was the German who were in Togo on a deal called protector. So when they lost the war, they kicked them out, and the French and the British move in. So they start dividing the country. They took a portion without consideration of who is here, who is there. They just divided. Reason why they end up by splitting one group, ethnic group, in two.
Ethnic group.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like Ivory Coast is French speaking.
Ivory Coast.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then the next country is Ghana, the former Gold Coast, was given to the British. Benin and Togo one time were one country, French speaking country.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So that is how they divided. Nigeria, English speaking country. Yeah.
So Kokou, tell us your testimony, your Christian testimony.
Oh, thank you, brother Tim. I will make it sure. I don't know if I can, but God help me. In 1979, Togo.
You're 63 years old. Just want to tell people.
Yeah, I am.
Go ahead.
Yeah. 1979, a friend of mine called Simon, came to me. We were about 18 years old. He was like 19. That he has been invited to attend an evangelistic meeting conducted by an American missionary. Well, I don't want to offend anybody. We're French-speaking country, but I have yet to meet a French missionary. We know French philosophers, French mathematicians, they never send a missionary. So that was 1979. I didn't want to go because my friend's mom was Madame Vodou. She was born to an idol god.
Madame Voodoo. Did you say Madame Voodoo?
Yeah, that is how she called.
Your friend's mom, the one who got born again?
Yeah, his mom.
Okay, got you.
Yeah. Later on, she too got saved, but
Okay.
the beginning, we're not supposed to get anywhere close to church building.
I got you.
So when Simon came, I told Simon, I ain't going nowhere because I know when his mom found out,
Right.
I'll be toast.
Right.
I'll be dead meat. So he went. In the space of 2 hours, my friend Simon came back Loko, crazy. And he came back, prompt the house, we built house with entrance gate. He wall around it. The gates, you have to go to the central gate. I was standing outside. He prompted the gate open and was literally out of breath. Ratim was telling me that, oh, I got saved. I got saved. Yeah, he got saved. I got saved. Je suis sauvé. Je suis sauvé in French. And he wanted me to get me saved on the spot. And I said, Simon, if you really, really got saved, you don't tell me. Go and tell Madame Vodou.
Ooh.
Yeah.
His mother.
His mother. I know she will kill him.
Are you serious? I mean.
Oh, no, I'm serious. It was the kind of
Serious.
woman that is, everybody was afraid of her. And when she meant business, she meant business.
Okay.
So it was that, and it took Simon 2 weeks. And then I told Simon, I need to talk to your missionary. And because in high school we were taught philosophy, how God does not exist, so I was prepared to meet the missionary. So one Wednesday night prayer meeting, the missionary came out, gathered in his Volkswagen, And there we went in his garage. He opened the Bible and started reading from Ecclesiastes. Young man, rejoice in your youth. Do whatever your heart tells. In a moment, I stopped. I said, is that the Bible? Was he reading from the Bible? I didn't know the end of that verse. The verse said, but no, mais c'est que pour tout cela, Dieu t'amènera en jugement. But know that for all this, God will, bring you to judgment. And that carried right into my heart. I forgot about my philosophy or the questions, and I raised my hand, and that was April 1979.
You gave your life to Christ.
To Christ.
Yeah. We're talking to Kokou and Yvette. Loko, Loko. They're from Togo. So the Locos are from Togo.
Yeah.
And it's a small country of 7 million people, and geographically it's really tiny. Like probably looks like to me about half the size of Mississippi, maybe, or Alabama, in West Africa. So did you know Kokou, Yvette, at the time when he got saved?
I wasn't saved in 1979, and I didn't even know him. My mom was in his church. So my mom got saved, and we were with my dad. My mom and dad are not together. So one day, my dad said, yeah, you go and join your mom. I said, what? My dad was in a cult, and I was 7 years
In a
old.
cult?
In a cult.
Okay, gotcha.
Like a mysticism and all that.
Mysticism. Please forgive me. I know our listeners are getting annoyed at me interrupting here, but I'm just trying to, some words I'm trying to help interpret for the listeners so they can follow the story.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. No
Go ahead.
And I was 7 years old when I was in that court with my dad. And I was the firstborn too. We go till I was age 16 and going to 17 when my dad said, well, you go and join your dad. You're not going to stay with me anymore, me and my 2 siblings. So I didn't want to go and stay with my mom because I knew later on, well, during my 16 years that she got saved in Kokou's church. So I knew if I go and stay with her, I have to go to that church, which I didn't want to go to. And we went, my dad said, you have to go. So we went to my mom, and I told my mom, it was in summer, I'm going to stay with her little sister, my aunt. I'm going to stay with her during the summer for vacation. I have in mind that I'm not coming back to her. When vacation is getting close to the end to start school, I went to see my mom, and she said, well, Yvette, you have to come back home with me. And she talked and she talked. I started crying. I have no choice. I came back to my aunt and told her, Aunt, I have to go and stay with my mom. In my mind, I wanted to stay with my aunt, so from time to time, I can go to my dad and visit with the cult. It was then that when you stay with my mom, you have to go to church. So I started going to church, and at that time, he was the Kokou, my husband, was the one teaching Sunday school. And in Africa, everybody stay in one building, and they teach the Sunday school to everybody,
right,
teenager or grown-ups. So he was teaching the book of Matthew, the whole Matthew from the beginning till. And when I was listening, it got into my heart, like, all your burden, put them on Jesus' feet, and he'll take care of you. And I didn't want to go to hell too, and all that get into me. And it was in 1986, in October, that I confessed my sin, and I told the Lord that now I gave up. I give my life to him. Amen. And he can do anything he wants to do with me. And later on, I got baptized, and then we got, well,
You started dating, and then you got married. Then you
we get engaged
Got
in
engaged.
we get engaged. I would say in
Yeah.
1988. Sorry.
Right.
And then he left to come to the state for his schooling and
Gotcha. Seminary.
seminary.
Yeah, Bible school. Then
And
Bible school.
we got engaged for 5 years.
Okay.
And it's 1993 in August 28 that we got married.
But you came to the States for your Bible school.
Yeah, I came in '88 for my Bible school. It took me a while, and also in Africa, when you get engaged, you have to pay the dowry. I didn't.
You have to do what?
You pay the dowry.
Dowry?
A dowry.
Dowry. You
What-
haven't paid dowry?
No, I didn't. I didn't sign up for that one. I just asked her to go out.
It's in Genesis.
We got
24.
engaged. I'm sorry.
Genesis 24. You should read your Bible.
I do read my Bible, but I missed that one. I'm sorry.
Very
Anyway,
biblical.
It took 5 years
I
for
thought
me.
you said you
after
wrote in your diary.
No,
know,
it's the dowry. It's DOWRY.
I believe you. I
Yeah,
believe you.
yeah.
Anyway, so anyway, you guys got married. You had a family. You went back to your home country after Bible school. I'm skipping through the story here.
Yeah.
What year was it that you came to the U.S. and you came by our offices here at American Family Association, American Family Radio, in Tupelo, Mississippi? And because that's the reason you're sitting here today.
Yeah.
Because way back when, 20 years ago or 30, I don't know when it was, you came by here. You didn't know us. We didn't know you. But somebody had said you need to go meet with Don Wildman, who is my father, who Dad passed away in December, but he was since he was the founder of this ministry, and you got to meet with him. How did that all happen?
Well, the beginning, we went home, and at that time, we listened to some Christian radio in 1998. And what we heard was appalling. It was not the gospel.
Okay.
So Yvette and myself, we have a wishful thought if one day we can have a radio station. So one thing led to another. And in 2001, a friend from Broadmoor Baptist in Madison, Mississippi.
Okay.
Yeah. Flew all the way to Togo and helped us get the last license that they are for.
The government was giving a license for your radio station. You got the last one.
The last one. So he helped us to get that.
Okay.
And after that, well, the guy in charge was planning to change. He got mad that the license was given to us. So he was looking for a way to, retake the license. So instead of 3 months, he didn't give us the license. So the brother never came back. So after that, we got a license. We need to put the radio on the air. We didn't have anything. It was then that a brother in Christ, who is with the Lord now, Bill Collier, at North Oxford Baptist Church, heard.
North Oxford Baptist
Baptist
Church
Church.
in Oxford, Mississippi.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You were. That's one of the churches that was supporting your ministry.
Yes, sir. They still do.
Okay, still do. Anyway, he told you what?
No, he called your dad. That's,
Just out of the blue.
out of the blue.
Yeah.
And your dad said, well, if that is the case, we don't want, them to lose their license. And he packed a transmitter and a bunch of stuff, and microphone and
My dad did that.
yeah.
I remember when that. I remember when that happened.
And the same.
So just the main point here is that Kokou and the gentleman from North Oxford Baptist Church,
Yeah, Bill Collier.
who's deceased, he's gone.
Yeah.
Did you came to Tupelo?
After I came back and we put the radio on the air,
Okay,
I
yeah,
came back
yeah.
to say thank you.
But
to
my dad heard your story,
yeah.
and then we had equipment here at American Family Radio that that we could send you to get you on the air before you lost your license.
Yeah, you did.
So we shipped it
yeah.
to your home, and then you took it and went on the radio. You got
Yeah.
the radio station on the air.
In 2002.
It's a Christian radio station that reaches probably 1 million people or so, something like that, maybe?
It can be more than that. Because
than that.
in the city, we have 2.5 million, and all the surrounding village and town. So we reach quite a bit.
And it's still going strong today.
Still going, yeah.
It's still going strong today.
So you came by our offices, 2 weeks ago? 3 weeks ago?
Yeah, because I was with the pastor who pastored that church.
Yeah.
And he now live in Clinton. So I got there, and every time we talk about radio, and we were talking, and he told me that our dear brother Don, went home. And that was the reason why in Africa we have to come and express our condolences.
So that's where so you guys came up here unannounced, I think. I mean, I don't think y'all told me you were coming.
No.
Somebody told me, hey, we got a couple from Africa in the lobby. They want to see you. And I'm going like, They said, your dad, Don, helped get them a radio station. They want to pay their respects because your dad passed away and they're in the country. And so Yvette, y'all came by, and I said, why don't you come back and visit us? And you got to share with staff this morning.
Yeah.
So anyway, and your children, this is so you have a beautiful ministry in in your home country.
For the law, it's not us, but
Right.
it's for God's people.
How do you support it? How do you make money to support it?
Well, churches in here support us.
U.S. churches, right?
Yes.
Support you
Yeah,
financially, and
financially.
individuals,
Individual and some friends.
some friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was
But you're
gonna say, before we forget.
Yeah, you're affiliated with the.
Yep, that's what I was
Okay.
gonna say.
Yeah. So, Kokou and Yvette, Loko, are with us. They're from Togo, West Africa. But the U.S. ministry that oversees it helps you out, facilitates everything, is called Global Impact Ministries,
Incorporated.
And they're in Alabama.
Montgomery, Alabama.
Global Impact Ministries.
I'm looking at their website now. It's GIMI.world.
Yes.
Yeah.
Whose website?
The one of the ministry that you just mentioned, which is Global Impact Ministries. It's GIMI.world.
Okay.
And there you can see the places that the hospital, the Grace Hospital, you can.
So you're building a hosptal.
It's already
We finished.
It's already
finished
built.
in
We just opened it. Yeah.
You just opened a hospital.
Yeah.
On February the 2nd. One of the reasons why we rushed back.
Can you put that on our Today's Issues Facebook page, Brent, in case people are there and they want to link there? This is amazing what you guys are doing in your home country. Go ahead, Wesley.
Yeah.
So go ahead. You want to say
Well, I was just going to say that it is, and they continue on in the ministry that God's called them to do, and they're sharing the gospel. They're also providing the needs, or meeting the needs of the people in their community, so much so that they have a radio program on the
health and nutrition that
Yeah.
Yvette hosts, right, Yvette?
Yes, sir. I do nutrition.
So
Yeah.
do you have any questions about whether I should use these little flimsy glasses today to look at the sun? What would you say if I called into your show and asked you that? What would you say?
Well, since I would say they put it up there, if it's right to use, you just use it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amen.
Where can people go to support your work?
That is the web.
That's
website?
The website. That's that good enough?
Yeah. Or I can give you another number of our
That's all right. You
director.
can give it to me. That's off the radio.
Okay.
On the break.
Okay.
Yeah, we can put it up on the Facebook page because we're running out of time.
Global Impact Ministries out of Montgomery, Alabama, are the ones that they work with. And do you take people come to your country like doctors and nurses and missionaries?
Since 2004, in fact, in July, another team is coming from North Oxford.
Oh,
North
wonderful.
Oxford.
Yeah.
In July this year, North Oxford
yes,
Baptist
sir.
Church,
Yeah.
a team is coming.
And then one is coming from Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania. Okay,
And,
thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
The views and opinions expressed in this broadcast may not necessarily reflect those of the American Family Association or American Family Radio.
Faith, family, freedom. American Family Radio.
American Family Association, a ministry with a mission to inform, equip, and activate people like you to strengthen the moral foundations of American culture and to give aid to the church here and abroad in her task of fulfilling the Great Commission. We couldn't do it without your day-to-day support. American Family Association. Find us online at afa.net.
This is American Family Radio, a listener-supported ministry of the American Family Association.
American Family News, I'm Rusty Pugh. Parts fly off a Southwest Airlines Boeing plane during takeoff. Garrett Tenney has more.
During takeoff, the FAA says one of the engine covers fell off and struck the wing flap of this Boeing 737-800. The crew quickly got word of that, and the pilot requested an emergency landing. In total, the plane was in the air for around 25 minutes, reached an altitude of 10,000 feet before landing safely back at Denver International with all 135 passengers and 5 crew members okay. This particular aircraft was built in 2015, according to the FAA, and it's important to note this was a Boeing 737-800, which is 2 generations older than the Boeing 737 MAX 9.
President Biden is unveiling another large student loan forgiveness plan. Fox News legal analyst Greg Jarrett says Biden is desperately trying to buy votes, but we've seen this before.
This is a pattern with Joe Biden. When confronted with an important issue, he says, I don't have the authority to do that. It's unconstitutional. A couple of months go by, and then he does it. The eviction moratorium, the vaccine mandate, the racially discriminatory farm program, and of course the student debt forgiveness plan. All of these were pretty clearly lawless, and yet he went ahead and did it. He gets slapped down by the U.S. Supreme Court, and then he turns it into pure politics by railing against the high court and trying to incentivize Democrats to stack the court.
House Speaker Mike Johnson this week is set to tackle a foreign aid bill that funds Ukraine and other allies. But some in his conference are still pushing back over Congress's lack of action on securing the southern border. Texas Congressman Ronnie Jackson is among the House Republicans against foreign funding.
I'm poised to vote no right now, like I said, unless there's something else that comes up. We've mentioned this a million times, Maria, but where's the border security that's supposed to be included with this? There were some of us early on that said we could stomach maybe doing this if we secured our own southern border, but that's kind of fallen off.
New test scores show more evidence at how harmful the COVID shutdowns were to our kids. More from Bronson Woodruff.
A new report from the Freedom Foundation details student struggles. Ashley Varner is the Vice President of Communications for the Freedom Foundation.
Parents, all of us have been screaming about for years now that the COVID shutdowns were not good for our kids. They were not helpful. They did not help stop COVID. They did not help slow COVID. And they caused more problems that we are now only beginning to see.
She said it's not just playing out in the test scores, it's also playing out in student behavior.
Kids who have been out of school for months to, in some states, years, honestly years, they have had a bad time readjusting. They have had their mental, emotional development just uprooted. And we're going to be dealing with this for decades.
But Varner said this is something many of us saw coming.
And we were crying out for people to open the schools. And the problem is that the school boards, the local city councils, some of the state governors, they were controlled by teachers' unions who had a political agenda that had nothing to do with keeping our kids safe or getting them back into the classroom.
She said there were new test scores released in February from the National Assessment of Educational Progress in what's referred to as the nation's report card.
It found that math and reading scores have been at their lowest since the 1990s.
She said we're not giving these kids the fundamentals they need. Varner added that's why the Freedom Foundation is helping teachers across the nation get out of teachers' unions.
And finally, a Kentucky man admits to faking his own death to avoid paying child support.
39-year-old Jesse Kipp pleading guilty in federal court late last month in the Eastern District of Kentucky to computer fraud and ID theft after creating a fake death certificate for himself and using stolen stolen credentials, all to avoid paying over $100,000 in outstanding child support to his ex-wife. As part of his plea deal, Kip faces a maximum of 7 years in prison and up to $500,000 in fines when he's sentenced on Friday. Jeff Manasso, Fox News.
For American Family News, I'm Rusty P.
Isn't it interesting that the first department store to allow cross-dressing individuals into either restroom was the same store which later marketed LGBTQ-themed clothing for children? Some of those clothes actually included a satanic logo. Target is a perfect illustration of the slippery slope which is moral decline. Such corporate policies accelerate depravity and endanger our wives and daughters who use Target restrooms or changing areas. Learn more and sign the Target Boycott Pledge at afa.net.
Today's Issues continues on AFR with your host, Tim Wildman, president of the American Family Association.
Hey, welcome back, everybody, to Today's Issues on the American Family Radio Network. Thanks for listening to AFR. Tim, Wesley, Fred, and now Chris Woodward. Good morning, Chris.
Good morning.
Wesley, you want to tell people how they can use what Ed calls their internet to access our show and podcast and all those good words?
Sure thing. You can go to afr.net. That's afr.net, and there you can listen to our live stream of our radio. Obviously with the radio and the AFR app, you can listen anywhere, so you don't have to be in a terrestrial radio station radius. So that's a good thing. So go download the AFR app, listen anywhere. Even if you're in your car and you're driving and then you lose signal, the app or the internet radio is the way to go. We also got our Facebook channel and our YouTube channel, Today's Issues Live. Today's Issues Live, you can go watch there. I don't know why you want to do that, but it's available.
Yeah, if you want to. If you're so inclined.
Yeah, that's right.
Listen, everybody's using the app now.
That's right.
The AFR app, you can listen anywhere in the world as long as you got high-speed internet. A lot of people, are telling me, I lose your radio station when I leave a certain area, so right. I use the app.
And one other thing, as a reminder from our previous segment, was we had a pastor and his wife on from Togo, West Africa. They are friends of the ministry here at AFA and AFR. They come back occasionally to give us an update. They gave us an update just a while ago. And in order to support their work, you can go to Global Ministry Inc., which is spelled out GIMI. This is the website, GIMI.world, GIMI.world. You can support their work there. We support them. We're grateful for the work they're doing. Always good to get a report from the work they're doing there in West Africa.
Well, we're drawing closer, Chris Woodward, to the solar eclipse crossing the U.S., right?
Yes, we are. And I will say that I found one group of people that this will not affect, that is referees, because sources say they're already blind.
Oh, man. You've been waiting to use that one, haven't you? You've been waiting to use this one. Listen, so when does this start in Texas? I guess like in 2 hours from now? When is that?
It's coming up here in the next hour to 2 hours.
Okay.
Just after 1 o'clock Central.
Okay, listen, where we live right now, which is in Tupelo, Mississippi, I'm looking out and the sun's shining.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So as long as that's the case and the clouds stay away, and I don't know if that'll be the case in 2 hours or not, we should see not as much as our friends in Arkansas and Cape Girardeau and St. Louis and Indianapolis, but 90% blockage.
Yep.
Block out. So eclipse, I guess I should say, not blockage, but is that right? Am I right?
Well, Mississippi, you can say blockage, but we're on live radio. We have a
across
national.
the country.
Yes.
So I need an interpreter.
Yeah, you need eclipse.
Eclipse. I'm going to use the science word.
That's right.
So what about it, Fred? So is that true?
No, you're definitely going to see it. If it stays like this, you're definitely going to be able to detect the impact of the sun rays being somewhat blocked.
That was a map that we shared last week, I want to say on Thursday. It would still be on our Facebook page for people to go back and find, but it showed the northwest corner of Mississippi to be more in the path. So if you're listening to us in what's called the Mississippi Delta, you may get more of a feel of this than, say, us here in Tupelo. But we'll still see something.
Texarkana, Little Rock, Memphis, I'm thinking Paducah, Owensboro, Indianapolis, up to basically following the Ohio River, all the way up to Pittsburgh,
and over
and
to
then
Maine.
up to Buffalo, and then up to Fred's home country.
Yep, you get into New Hampshire, and then on to Nova Scotia, Newfoundland.
But now other parts of the country, that's sort of ground zero for the
Yes.
cross.
Mhm.
But other parts of the country, obviously, the further you get from that line I've just described, the less the impact is going to be visible, so to speak.
Yep.
Right. But you're looking at it. What time does it have the time when that starts in Texas? Does that say?
No, sir. It doesn't say here.
Didn't say what time.
I think it's 11.
Okay. Anyway, big day. We guess. We don't know what's going to happen exactly.
I can, according to CBS News, Dallas, Texas, 12:23 p.m. Central Time.
Okay. What about Little Rock?
That is 12:33. If you're listening to us in Poplar Bluff, Missouri, or Missouri, if you're of that persuasion, 12:39 p.m.
Okay. What about Jackson, Tennessee? We have a lot of listeners in Jackson. When is that?
That is not listed.
Well, that's going to be off the mark.
I guess I should.
Jackson, Tennessee is going to be off the
I
mark.
will share this.
You mean?
I mean of the
barely.
barely.
It's barely off the mark. Tell me the complete block.
Sure. Yeah, that's what I'm talking
Anyway, I think we pretty much exhausted our understanding of the lunar,
Yes, we have.
of the solar eclipse. Huh?
Yes, we have.
So good thing this won't happen again for another
That's
15
right.
years.
I'm watching a reporter right now in Kerrville, Texas.
All right.
And she's got her glasses on, Tim. They look a little bit more fancy than yours.
Yeah, they do. She looks like she's been drinking though. To me, I don't know.
And those glasses
way
look a
she's
little
acting.
more official.
So I got my glasses. They do look a little more official. I do have my glasses here. That
Are
one
you
of our staff
sure-
here handed them to me and said, "Go with these."
Are you sure that's not just the regular 3D movie glasses?
That was left over from Avatar.
They do look like
They sure do.
the glasses they hand you when you go to a 3D movie.
I'm gonna have to look that brand up. Let's see how official they
it
are.
says Medical King.
Medical.
Medical King glasses. They're like paper, and they got instructions you can't read. The writing's so small, hardly.
From the people who brought you cloth masks.
It does say conforms to and meets the transmission requirements of ISO 12123 Code 2, filters for direct observation of the sun. So that's what it says here. Let's see if it's false advertising. All right, you're listening to today's issues. It's too late to order them, Wesley.
I do
Wesley's
know.
looking on the internet trying to order him some glasses. Too late.
We do have some fulfillment centers here in Mississippi now. You might get them.
You got 2 hours, 2 or 3 hours here to. All right, well, look up.
Okay.
I know people. Just look up impact for where we are.
Okay.
Just so we'll know. Fred will know.
As far as what time is the eclipse?
Yeah, the time of the eclipse. I want to know what time it is
I'm
here.
looking now.
And
Wait
then
for it.
Then we'll move on to more important topics.
Oh, because I got plenty of doom and gloom. You know me.
Okay, well.
According to the National Weather Service
Uh-huh.
in Memphis, 12:38 p.m., Tupelo, Mississippi. Jackson, Tennessee, to your previous question, was 12:40. I'm curious as to why Memphis would be 12:37, Jackson, Tennessee would be 12:40, and Tupelo would be 12:38. But maybe the National Weather Service knows more than me.
I don't have an answer for you, Chris.
I don't either. That seems kind of odd to me. Jackson, Tennessee is
It's
pretty
one of
close
those
to Memphis.
mysteries of life. We may never know. All right, Chris, what's your first doom and gloom?
Yes, we have a story here, and we have long talked about on this program how inflation and immigration are the issues for the majority of voters in the 2024 election. And here I've got a story. It's from the business section of New York Post. It came out late last week, and the headline is this: food inflation is so bad that a $100 grocery list in 2019 costs you $137 today. So it's gone up $37 in about 5 years. And I have some sound to
Good
this.
grief! In 5 years, yeah, today's 14. Today's 2024. So in 5 years, the cost of the groceries that once cost you $100 cost $137.
Correct.
Yeah, and I think that would be an average. There would be people listening to us right now that say no.
It's more.
A whole lot more.
Yeah.
Well, now there is a what's known as a price of living increase annually that we come to expect. It doesn't matter whether there's a Republican or a Democrat in the White House. It's usually about 3 to 4%. Am I right about this, guys?
3%.
Yep.
3%. So that's anticipated, but what we're talking about right here is way above that. This is what's called Bidenflation. That is the inflation, the skyrocketing inflation that has taken place since Joe Biden became president, and it isn't going away and it isn't going down. Now, you may say, well, I mean, whether you blame him or not,
sure.
I think, as we've said before, the economy with the president, whoever he may be, if it's good times, you get credit. If it's bad times, you get the blame. And it really doesn't matter whether you're responsible for it or not. The American people judge you on how that goes, Wesley.
Yes, now that's true, and that's a very objective and fair starting point. However, when President Biden continuously says everything's fine, that's also a problem.
You know what I would tell him?
Yeah.
Denial ain't just a river in Egypt. You know what I'm?
Oh,
If
yeah.
I could tell him that, I'd tell him that to his face.
Yeah.
Well, it's easy for him to say that. He doesn't have to pay for
No.
his food.
Yeah.
He doesn't live in our world.
Yeah.
Now, you said, Fred, that a top Democrat advisor publicly has said that Biden needs to be quiet when it comes to the economy, right?
And that advisor's former Obama advisor, David Axelrod. Listen to what he had to say, cut 5.
I wouldn't go out there and extol the miracle of the Biden economy. It just drives me crazy when he does that. I think he needs to put himself on the side of working people in their economic fight here.
Yeah, I tell you what, I think what David Axelrod is saying there, he was on a network interview, but if he was talking one-to-one with an individual, he would be saying, Joe Biden, shut up. Stop talking about what a great job Bidenomics is doing.
Yes.
Because the American people aren't buying it. And what Axelrod is saying is that Biden needs to get down where the real people live and start to understand they are hurting. We did reports just a few weeks ago. $1 trillion in credit card debt in America right now. $1 trillion. And so, he's saying, Biden, stop talking that way. In fact, Joe Concha, who is one of the people on Fox that talks about these things, had this response to what Axelrod had to say. Cut 6.
That is a message to Joe Biden that, look, you got to do the Bill Clinton, right? I feel your pain because rent and gas prices and prices in general are too high. And the fact is that people cannot afford many things right now is something that can't be unspun by Team Biden or his friends in the media. The bottom line is that food prices, for example, are 37% since 2019. And that's something that people buy every day. And they know that something has to change. And that's the message that Axelrod and Obama, by extension, is trying to send to this president.
You guys have often pointed about how, it's never my fault, it's somebody else's. Sometimes they'll, when asked about this, Karine Jean-Pierre will come up with some laughable dismissal. And in this particular case, with food inflation being so bad that $100 5 years ago was $137 today, I talked to an economist at the Heritage Foundation by the name of E.J. Antoni, and I asked him a hypothetical statement such as, if Karine Jean-Pierre were to dismiss this and say, well, it's only $37 more today, how would you answer that kind of rebuttal here? Clip 13.
Only $37 really out of $100? That's 37%. That's more than a third. Has your income gone up by more than a third to compensate for that? I don't think so. Only a member of the disconnected elite could possibly dismiss the fact that people's food prices are up 37%, which is much higher than the government statistics, by the way. And part of the reason for that is that the government statistics are not capturing how people are changing behavior. In other words, plenty of middle class folks occasionally might have indulged in a nice steak like a ribeye or a filet, and now they can't afford that, so they're switching to things like ground beef. But that was something that was disproportionately purchased by people who had lower incomes to begin with. So now items that formerly were inexpensive, things like ground beef, have now gone up in price, not only because of the inflation, but because of shift in consumer demand. And so the people who have been hit the hardest by Joe Biden's inflation are the people with low and even middle incomes, the folks who are least able to afford it.
What he
West
said.
to go.
No, what he said.
What he said.
Yeah. I mean, you
Right.
can't say it any better than that.
You were telling me about this about a year or two ago.
Yes.
About seeing this at the grocery store.
Yeah, it was about 6 to 8 months in to the new Biden administration is when I began to go, wait a minute. Like, because Chelsea would come home when I primarily, with what we work together, but I primarily do the finances in our house. And she kept coming back, and it would.
But you send her to the grocery store.
Yeah, she'd go to the grocery store, and she'd come back. She'd tell me how much and all that. And there for a little while, it was like, okay, well, you spend a little more this time. That's okay. One time, every now and then, maybe you have a birthday party or something.
Right,
You spend more than you would otherwise. Well, after a couple months in, I noticed we just kept being off by a good amount, and I had to sit down and finally punch the numbers and go, Chelsea, you realize you're spending $150 more per trip to the grocery store than we were the last 6 months. Mm-hmm. And of course, there's a change in administration. And she said, I said, just quit buying. And then we
buying food.
Quit buying stuff. Yeah. So then we're
going to learn to fast, kids.
Yeah. So we looked at what we were buying, and then there was a few things. There was a few things that we were able to trim here or there to save $15, $20, but by and large, the things we were getting from the very beginning were essential. I mean, they're like toothpaste. I mean, milk. I mean, talking about very basic stuff, and we were still up well over.
You weren't splurging for the filet mignon.
We weren't doing that to begin with.
Right.
When we sat down and pushed all the numbers. So, but long story short, somebody like me with all that's going on, I remember the days in the Trump administration where what I could get for $300, I'm now having to spend almost $500.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's why they call it Bidenflation.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So
anyway, that and illegal immigration, that is inflation and illegal immigration, are the top two issues that voters are considering right now.
Yep.
That's why Biden is at risk of being beat in November by Trump.
Yep.
Because Biden is in a bad place politically. It's kind of like what Jimmy Carter was in when Ronald Reagan beat him. You remember that? Now, we got a long way to go till November. But now the Real Clear Politics average, which is a average of a lot of different polls, okay, if you believe the polls, and the polls have been pretty right the last couple of years. But the polls show that in the average of the polls, which I trust more than any one individual poll, show in the swing states, which our election will be decided in, that Trump is leading Biden slightly, like 2 percentage points here, 3 there. It's within the margin of error. But the last time I checked, which was about 3 or 4 days ago, Trump was winning in all those swing states.
Yeah. And that's absolutely amazing because the mainstream media is in the lap of the Democratic Party and Biden.
Yeah.
I look at AP stuff every day.
Right.
For hours. Every story about Trump they put a negative spin on it.
Everyone.
Everyone about Biden. They don't do, the Associated Press won't do a negative story about Biden and the Bidenomics.
No, they've chosen a side.
And they almost completely ignore the border.
Yes.
Almost completely.
Talking about the mainstream media?
Yeah. They almost completely avoid. The only time, Fox shows the video of these people storming across the border.
Yeah.
You do not see video clips on the other mainstream media of that. They don't want you to know that.
Right. Right. But I think the word
yet their polls are still showing
I think the word is getting out in different ways. But to Fred's point, the liberal mainstream media, they try to cover for Biden.
Yes.
Okay. Mm-hmm. They try to cover. Yes. What are you going to say?
Oh,
Chris?
I was trying to find an example. There was one story last week that Fred and I were talking about. Basically, the AP, which is an extension of the White House press office and has been for a long time, they started off saying Donald Trump continues to use rhetoric denounced by Democrats. That was the first 7 or 8 words of a sentence.
There's earth-breaking news right there. That's never been heard before.
But you know, the sad thing is, and I pointed this out last week when I had the actual thing that I read from on this show. The sad thing is, a lot of news outlets, not even the small ones, major market news outlets, just rip and read whatever the AP says as if it's the Gospel of John. So that's why there's a lot of people in America today that don't know these kinds of things and don't get these kinds of stories about food inflation because the AP doesn't do it, and therefore the news outlet doesn't share it somehow, some way.
Yep.
Speaking of the mainstream media, CNN's they're showing right now a young couple who are getting married today in Arkansas. I don't know if they're going to get married just before or just after the solar eclipse, right?
Hundreds of couples to marry in Arkansas during eclipse.
Yeah, I'm looking at the groom. Is that a camo tux he has on?
No. I know what camo looks like.
Okay,
That's
it's not camo. It's like different kind of fabric.
That's right.
But anyway, this I guess some
stereotyping Arkansas people.
I'm not. Listen, I wouldn't dare do that.
No, you wouldn't, would you?
No, I wouldn't do that. You know,
that's like something I would do. That
they're in CNN is live in Russellville, Arkansas. That was coming in. I heard some radio stations doing every kind of eclipse-related song they could think of. Total Eclipse of the Heart has been used a lot.
Well, that's Bonnie Tyler, I think. Wasn't it Bonnie Tyler? Fred?
Carly Simon mentioned the eclipse of the sun in Nova Scotia. Remember? She was.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that was You're So Vain.
You're So Vain. Yeah.
So Vain.
Mentioned the total.
Who was that song about, Fred? That's the great mystery
the
of
Carpenters.
No. That's the great mystery of the songster world.
Yes.
Who was that song about? Some say Warren Beatty.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That was
Others
the guy.
say Mick Jagger.
Yes.
You remember Dick Ebersol did a lot of golf play-by-play commentary. There was a story about him years ago that he actually paid her money to tell.
Who, Carly Simon?
He paid her money to tell him who that song was about. It was a story like years ago.
Yeah.
So Dick Ebersol might have known that story.
Did she?
I think she did.
Who'd she say?
I think there were stories then. I remember the Warren Beatty stuff.
All right.
I'm not old enough to remember her heyday and
Carly Simon's heyday.
Yeah, that's before my time.
You're just so.
She went on to do a lot of.
You're so vain, Chris.
You miss so much.
She went on to do some soundtracks for Winnie the Pooh films. Carly Simon did.
That's not what she's known for.
No, it's not.
She did do a Winnie the Pooh soundtrack.
Okay.
Carly Simon.
I'm reading for. Yeah, she did at least one Winnie the Pooh film.
Me.
But Wesley doesn't have any idea who we're even talking about or what. What
I have it here. I have it here from the Encyclopedia Britannica. She eventually revealed the subject of the song to be actor Warren Beatty.
There you go.
Okay, well, I thought that's who it was.
Glad we had the internet in here today on my phone.
We're just about out of time, which is probably a good thing.
Yes.
Listen, thank you for, we got a minute to go?
Mm-hmm.
A minute to go. You got anything good to share?
Did you mention the Texas story, University of Austin?
Nope.
They are getting rid of
University of Texas at Austin.
University of Texas in Austin. I started to say Arlington. Austin, they are getting rid of their DEI employees based on a state law telling them to get rid of DEI stuff.
Yeah, that's diversity,
equity and inclusion.
Equity and inclusion. I want to say exclusion.
I know, right?
Yeah, but they've been excluded from the state budget in Texas now. Following Florida did it first. Texas now, right. They're cutting out this DEI nonsense that goes on college campuses. They're not the state of Texas. Can I put it bluntly? Ain't paying for it no more.
And so the scary part about that, there were 60 people employed in that department.
Right.
60.
Yeah, all they are is a bunch of far lefties looking to impose their views on everybody in the school and university system, and now they're gone.
Mm-hmm.
They're fired. They can go look for a job in the real world.
Don't let the door hit you on the way out.
Yes.
That's what I'm talking about, Fred.
Another win.
Yes, right. Another win for the good guys. All right. Stay safe out there, everybody. Make sure you use your solar glasses.
Check the expiration date.
Yeah. We'll see you tomorrow.
We live in a day when America